Dally around. I'm Skidz and I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. Let me actually see if there's anyone here. Yeah, I'm watching. I'm the only one. That's okay. I'm not too concerned about it. Today we're going to be working on a skirt to add on to a shirt I'm making as well. Let's actually take a look at the shirt real quick that we have so far. It is that one right there. Some of the buttons were on the other layer. Let's grab those real quick. And move those to the next layer. Go back. There we go. So this is the shirt. It's for the kimono body. Oh, there's some buttons there too. They're probably on the other layer. I'll grab them later. But we want a skirt to go with this as well, because we're going to make interactions with this shirt. Like I want to make it so you can touch the buttons and they open up the shirt. To do that, though, we need it to be able to know what they're going to be wearing below it. And we designed the shirt after this picture right here. Let me zoom in a little bit on it. Schoolgirl uniform, kind of mostly. So this is the type of skirt we're wanting to make. I started on this actually yesterday, and Google, YouTube ate my video, so starting over. And I didn't like what I made yesterday anyway, so it was perfect. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the kimono body. You can actually download this to get it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to select just one row of faces like this. I don't know. Is that where you think the skirt should start? Or am I too high? I'm probably too high. That kind of looks right. I mean, we can always move it down if we really need to. I'll tell you what, let's just keep it right there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Shift D to copy the faces I have selected, and I'm going to hit P to move those faces into another object. So now you can see I got this like little strip here. That's all it is a little strip. I'm going to edit it, so I just hit Tab to go into edit mode, hit A to select everything, mesh, faces, I'm looking, normals, flip normals. And what we're doing there, I've explained this a couple times before, but basically if you hit this button right here, it'll show you which direction the normals are facing. And if you look inside the body now, you can see that little blue line. It's pointing inside the body. That means the face of this thing is, of this face is actually on this side and not this side. Like if you were to look at it on this side in Second Life, you would see right through it. It's like it's not even there. But on this side, you can see it. So I flipped them around, and now we're going to add a modifier. And again, modifiers are just like little functions. They do stuff to your model, and I'm going to add the solidify, and the solidify does scale or adds like thickness to something. So you can see I've now just given that ring around this body a thickness, and we're off to a good start so far. Now, one thing we want to do too right away is, and I forgot to do this, we want to, oops, let me zoom in. We want to do Shift A, or no, Control A, and apply the rotation and the scale. It's kind of complex to explain, but in Blender, an object can have two sizes. It can have its real size and then the size it is in world. So it's like a box. If you think about a box in Second Life, is a one, or the default size is a 0.5 by 0.5 by 0.5, and then you can resize that to end world. but its original size is still 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and that's the way it works in Blender. So I'm going to hit rotation and scale to set its current size and current rotation to what it should be. And you'll see, look what it did there. And the reason I did this is because thicknesses, or the size of an object, helps determine how thick these thicknesses actually are. So I just got to thin it up a little bit. So I'm going to go 0.005 is the thickness. Maybe even less than that. Let's go to 0.002 is the thickness. So now we have a modifier that's basically kind of giving us like this little belt. And the faces are facing on the inside. And to be honest, I don't like the faces to be facing on the inside. I'm sure you wouldn't either. So what we're going to do is I'm going to apply the modifier, the solidify modifier, and now you'll see when I open it in edit mode, you got all these blue lines everywhere. That's the normals, which direction it's facing. You can see that right there. And now it has thickness, so it's got edges, it's got a front, it's got a back. And what we want to do is we want to select everything and then deselect all the outside faces. So we want to basically delete everything but these outside faces. This is kind of a small trick I've learned in making clothing. Oops. Okay, so we've got everything selected that is not an outside face. I'm going to hit X and delete those faces. So now what we've done is, you can see, let me turn back on the normals. You can see all the normals are facing outwards. We've deleted all the ones that are facing in. And now let's do this again. Let's add the same modifier, solidify, give it a thickness 0.002. Is that what we did? I think so. And now we have the same thing, a belt, but all the faces are facing on the outside. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, now how do we turn that into a skirt? So first thing we want to do is go into edge select. I held Shift and Alt and I right clicked on that bottom edge so that it selected all the way around. And now I'm going to extrude and hit Z. So E and then Z, and I'm going to pull that down. And now I'm just going to hit scale S and scale that up a bit. Look at that. I've already got a skirt. It's a pretty crappy skirt, but it's a skirt. Okay. So the next thing I want to do, I've kind of thought about this because, like I said, I did this yesterday and I didn't really like the results. So the direction we're going to go is a little bit more out of the way than it needs to be probably, but I think it'll produce the best results. So I'm going to hit Control R, and that's going to add this edge cut loop in, and I can slide that up and down where I want it. And I just want it really close to the top, but not quite. And then I'm going to stop it right there. So I just did a left click to stop it. And now I'm going to scale that up just a little bit and then move it in the G direction, or the Z direction, so up. So I click GZ and I moved it up. You can see it's sticking through the butt and the back. Don't worry about that for right now. We're just mostly worried about I want to get the fabric flowing the way I want to get flowing, and then we'll worry more about shape. And you might say, well, that's really short, and you're absolutely right. It is short. I love it. Okay, so let's get going. How do we want to do this? This is where it could get a little tricky because I got some reference images. So you can see basically there's these like little indents every so often, and they're evenly spaced all the way around. So that's a key right there. We want it to be evenly spaced. And I thought I had another skirt up, a better skirt. There's this one, but this isn't really what we're going for here. There's no other skirts on here. I thought there was. Okay, I was wrong. Not a big deal. We can see what we're going for right here. So the key thing is we need to make it evenly spaced all the way around. And you can see by far it's not evenly spaced. So what I'm going to do is I went to user, and I'm going to turn off these normals too. So then go to user preferences, add-ons, and there's the loop tool. I went online and I read about this. So just check that little checkbox and click save user settings. It's under add-ons. Just search for loop and you'll find it. And basically there's a tool in here that will evenly space out vertices. So the first thing I need to do is I need to select the ring all the way around that I want to evenly space. And that's kind of why we made this second ring here, so that we don't disturb what lays against the body, because that fits perfectly against the body. We wanted just to disturb the second ring, which doesn't set so flush against the body. Movements of it can be okay. And I think I hit W. Was that it? Yep. There's the loop tool, and then choose spacing. Now supposedly that just put it all so it's all spaced quite evenly. And it kind of looks like it did, but it also kind of looks like it pushed everything to the side. Separate in there. That's okay. I think that's okay. I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. So W, loop tool, spacing. That looks so much better. Probably the bottom is, we might not even have to worry about the top now that I think about it. Because the bottom is really where you're going to see the spacing. Or the little divots in the fabric. Never mind. We'll just leave it like this. Okay. Now, what we want to do is I'm going to, and this part I haven't actually figured out exactly what I want to do. How I'm going to do this. I'm going to select this entire thing here, or this entire skirt. Actually, let me select that. I'm going to hit shift, or no, I'm going to hit, how do I want to do this? Basically, let's just try to mock something up what we're looking for. So basically we want like there to be this little gap between this line right here and a little bit of fabric behind it, like it's folded on top of one another. So let's do this. I'm going to hit Control R. Actually, I'm just going to go to Edge Select that one, and then select that one, select that one. I'm going to hit Control E, Subdivide, and you can see it creates those two lines right there. I'm going to copy, I think. Let me think. what if I did this? So let me undo that first off. So I just did Control Z all the way back. I'm going to do V to rip this vertice off. And we're just gonna set them like that. And now we want basically a piece of fabric to lay behind that. How do we do that? Well, I guess the best way to do something like that is I'm going to Shift D these. No. Hang on. I know. I got to be frustrating to watch because I don't know what I want half the time. I apologize. But hey, this is how we grow. This is how we figure it out. I'm going to just copy these, Shift D, and I'm going to put a pivot point right there. And so I moved the 3D cursor. I did Shift S, cursor to selected. I put my pivot point at my 3D cursor. Did I copy these already? I did copy these already. And then I'm going to select these two rows. I'm going to do a rotation and just basically I pulled it back just like that. And let's do this. So we don't really need that to be poking through. And now let's do another V. I just want to see how this looks. So V rips a vertice away from another vertice. Oh, one thing I want to do right away too, let's do this. We want to remove all these crappy materials. And then add a new one, and let's give it a color of brown for right now. Just right now. You know, we're not going to be set on that color, but you know, I kind of like the way that looks. I kind of want to see the material as well go from here to here. So maybe we could get rid of this at last. So I'm merging these vertices together. So now it's just one flat plane. And let's grab that vertice, grab this one, and grab this one, and then back up here, grab this one, and I'm going to hit F, and it should fill in a line there. Now, which direction is that facing? That's kind of important. See, it's facing on the inside, and we don't want that. See how the blue line's pointing in? So I'm going to go mesh, normal, flip normal. Yeah, that kind of looks good. Now let's do that to the other side over here. So that one and that one and that one and that one. I'm gonna hit F to fill it. It's still facing the wrong side, so let's go mesh, normals, flip normals. See, now I kind of like that. Let me do this again. I'm gonna do Control R to split it in the center. And I'm going to pull that down a little bit. And let's pull these in together because they don't have to be so close. I'm going to put the pivot point in the center again, and then S. Look at that. What do you guys think? I'm liking that. Now, one thing you got to be aware of too is, since we're doing this solidify, it's given this thickness. And because this is such an odd shape, some of that thickness is kind of poking through. Because you know, you got, here, I'll just turn it on so you can see exactly what I mean. So just flipping that on and off, you can see how it's poking through in spots. We don't really want to worry about that too much. Scale that down. Let's scale this down. So this is what we're looking to do all the way around it. So how can we do that quickly and easily? I don't know. I'm sure we can figure it out though. I think we should start by undoing these changes. So basically I'm going to delete what we just did. Faces. And now I'm going to combine these two vertices again. And now I'm going to select all these faces. I'm going to Shift D them. Oops, that was the wrong one. Shift D. Shift D basically copies everything. And now I'm going to do a scale, so S, and then Shift Z, so it rescales in the X and the Y, but not up and down. So Shift Z scaling does not scale the Z. And I'm just going to put them right behind it. Just a little bit more. Yeah, like right there. And now let's move this to another layer, because the body's starting to get in our way a little bit on how this actually looks. So I'm going to hit M, and I'm just going to select that layer right down there. What did I do? Oh, I moved the body too. So let me move the body back. Okay. So now we've got kind of two layers to it, and we need to go through and basically do some ripping. Oops. Do some ripping of this outside, and then we'll do some fixing. So I'm going to pull down the back just a little bit more though, so we can see it better. Okay. So I'm going to go V, pull that aside, and then G to move the other one. And I'm going to do every other one. We won't do every single one. So V, move it aside. G, move it aside. Every other one. And then basically I'm using 4 and 6 on my keypad to rotate around evenly. It's not perfect, but we don't have to be perfect here. We just need to basically do a little bit like that. V, and then G, V, and then G, and again V, and then G, V, and then G, V, oops, V, and then G, V, and G. Might put you to sleep yet? I'm sorry, this part can get boring. I thought about doing like speed stuff and everything, but I kind of enjoy being able to talk to you guys as I work too, so it kind of gives me, I don't feel so weird talking to myself when It's possible someone could be listening. Is there? No, it's just me again. But one of these days, someone's going to watch this video. I promise you. Oh, you know what? I never shared this with Rin. I bet she would have liked to know what the URL was. There we go. Okay, so V and G. Oh, look at that, though. We went all the way around. Oh, but that's okay. We didn't want to actually do that last one. Okay. So we've broken those up. Now we need to go along and I want to basically break the middle of these up. So I'm just using V to move them aside a little bit. The ones in the middle. Between the splits, the middle of the splits, I mean. Now you guys know what I mean, right? You can see it. Okay, I'm going to hit 1, so we're aligned directly in the center, or facing forward, I mean. Okay, and now we just want to basically do what we did before. Of course, up here, let's not worry about it just yet. We might want to worry about it, but let's try it out first. I'm kind of worried that these back ones, the upper part, might get ugly if I start adding these faces in, but we won't know until we try, right? So I'm going to fill that, and again, let's double check, make sure it's facing the right direction. I'm willing to bet it's not. Yeah, you can see the face I have selected, the blue line is going in. You might look at this and say to yourself, how can you tell which direction that blue line is facing? It looks like you have tons of blue lines facing everywhere. And you would be right. But it actually gets easy after a while. I do wonder why there's blue lines facing to the back already. Over here, for example. Oh, that's because, yeah, we have the solidify edit mode on. So we were actually being able to see the normal faces of the solidify results, but we don't want that right now. We just want to see what's really there, and the solidify is not really there. But we do need to flip this one face. So mesh, normals, flip normals. And let's do the same thing over here. We want to select those, select that. You know, we probably could get away with not hooking into that top vertex up there. If I hit F, I could just make a triangle, and I think that would actually be okay. And actually, we could probably combine, like go V to split this off, V to split this off, select those two, and then select that one, and Alt M to last, so that it's all one big triangle. That's probably the best way to go about it, actually. And then take this triangle and have it go to this one. So Alt M to last. So you see what we did there? Basically, we took all those top vertices and we combined them to that vertex right there. I'm going to go select these three and then S for scale, scale it down. Now let's move it in a little bit. And that's basically giving us what we want. I think that that is perfect. See, we had no idea how to do this, but going in there, trying it out, different things, we come up with the perfect solution. I tried totally different things yesterday, and it didn't turn out very well. So I am glad we went with this route. Okay, so how do we do this all again? So first off, we want to select all the vertices over here up top. So we need to rip this one away. Select, select, select. And then last one you want to select is this one right here. I'm going to do an Alt-M and last. So we just basically we merged all those vertices to the last one we had selected. And now we want to, I'm going to hold Shift, select that one, select that one. So we got all three of these selected. I hit F to fill it. We just filled it, but it's facing the wrong direction. So mesh normals, flip normals, and we do the same thing again. F to select it, and we forgot to flip the normal. Mesh, normal, flip normal. Perfect. Grab these three. I'm going to hit Control 7 so I'm looking directly below it. And scale it down a little bit and move it in. And I'm using my transfer orientation of normal, which makes it a little bit easier to move it in the correct directions. Like if I had this on global, you'll see I could move it like that way or that way, but with normal it kind of points in the directions that's more natural with that line. Okay, so let's do it again. Select that one. Well, first off, we got to tear this vertice away. And select that one, that one, and that one. Go up to the top here. Alt-M at last. So we just basically combine those vertices together. I'm going to go Shift and select those two. F to fill it. It's facing the wrong direction. So normals, flip normals. And now let's do the same thing on the other side. F to fill it. Mesh, normals, flip normals. Perfect. Let's scale this down some. Control Z or Control 7 so I'm underneath of it. And let's just try to move it so it's better centered a little bit. Look at that. That is absolutely looking fantastic. I am loving it. 3 down, 542,633 more to go. Not quite, but it feels that way sometimes. Okay, I'm going to hit V to rip that away. And then selecting all these vertices. Alt-M at last. Combine them, then Shift, fill, mesh, normals, flip. Do the same thing. Fill, mesh, normals, flip. Scale it down. Control 7, get underneath of it. And move it into position. Perfect. Oh, I am absolutely loving how this is turning out. Finally. V to rip that away. Select all those top vertices. Grab that one. Alt-M. at last. And holding shift, right click those two, fillet, mesh, normals, flip normals, fill, mesh, normals, flip normals, select those, Control 7, scale it down, move it over. It's looking fantastic. That is so much nicer than the one I did yesterday. I just staring at the one yesterday after a while, trying to figure out what can I do to make it better. So I'm kind of glad Google messed up, or YouTube messed up, lost that video, because I might not have started over otherwise. Oh, who am I kidding? I would have started over. I am not afraid to throw away my work if I don't think it's up to snuff. Oh, I gotta flip those normals. Mesh, normals, flip. Deselect those two, reselect these two. F, mesh, normals, flip. Select those, Control 7. Scale it down. Move it into position. Looking good. Do it again. So rip this away. V. Select these vertices. Grab that top one. Alt M. At last. Select those two. Fillet. Normals. Flip. Deselect those two. Select these two. Mesh. Oh, I forgot to fill it. Mesh. Normals. Flip. Grab all those. Scale it down. Move them into position. Perfect. Now let's do the same thing here. What a surprise. Alt M at last. Select those two, fill, mesh, normals, flip. Deselect those two. Select these two, fill, mesh, normals, flip. Apparently Blender is just not smart enough to know that I want that face to face that direction when I make it. Oh, but that's okay. You don't want the software to be too smart, right? If it's too smart, it'll be doing it on its own here soon. The robots come and start designing our 3D shit. I quit. I mean, come on. Fillet, mesh, normals, flip. Scale that down. Push that in. There we go. Couple more times here. Let's see. V. Rip that off. Alt M. At last. Select these. Fill. Mesh. Normals, flip. Yeah, I wonder if artificial intelligence will ever get good enough to actually make 3D models. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to fill that. See what I get for thinking while I'm working? Hash. Normals flip. Select those. Control Z. Scale them down. Move them into place. Looks like we got 2 more to do. Woohoo! We're almost done. Let's rip that away. Selecting those. Alt M at last. Fill. Mesh. Normals flip. Fill. Mesh. Normals flip. Scale this down. Yeah, that looks good. And we got one more, right? Right? Yep, right there. So let's grab these. Alt M at last. Fill. Mesh. Normals flip. Fill. Mesh. Normals flip. Grab those, Control 7, so I'm looking right underneath of it. And when I say Control 7, I mean 7 on the number pad. Yeah. Let's scale it down some more. So let's go around, take a look, see what we got. That looks great. I don't know. I'm suddenly, just looking at it for some reason, I'm suddenly reminded of Sailor Moon. In this, if it was blue, let's change it blue just to. Oh yeah, look at that. That's Sailor Moon right there. Pretty easy. Okay, so one of the things we want to do next is we want to what do we want to do next? I know. We want to take a break, and I'll be right back. I'm just going to stretch my legs, get something to drink, and I'll be back with you guys really soon. Okay, I am back. So we got this skirt mostly shaped out. We want to do a little bit of more work to it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go along and I'm going to select all these vertices. Oops, I don't want to select any of the other lines, just this outside line right here. And I'm hitting Shift and Alt and clicking the line in between 2 vertices, and it'll actually select those 2 vertices. Most of the time it'll actually select all the way around, but with what we did with all these merging of vertices right up in here, it kind of messes that up a little bit. So I just want to lower this down a little bit, and I want to scale it in some. There we go. Well, not too much. See, it looks like let's hang on one second. See how far it's sticking out compared to there. Let's see, is it doing that same thing on the other side? Mostly. So let's just scale it in the X direction. So I'm going to scale X, and we'll put it about right there. Now remember, because we spaced out these vertices, these vertices don't line up very well with this inside line. So that inside line could get messy later on when we go to do textures. We'll have to see. We'll play with it. Now let's see how this is looking with the solidify turned on. So I'm going to go back over to the modifier, turn back on the solidify. It's actually not bad at all. I was afraid that with all these curves that it would start to actually stick out a lot. But I think because we flip this vertex and we're facing the outside of it, putting the outside of it here instead on the inside, I think that's helped a lot. So let's just do a little bit of cleanup. I want to go along these edges. I want to look at each one and just see if they are where I want them. Now here, I want to move this one around a little bit. Basically want all these to be in the center-ish. That is a word, damn it. Center-ish. I'm going to scale this one down. I'm going to pull back on some of these too, because I kind of want there to be this triangle or that diamond shape right in there on all these, or pushed in like that. So we don't want the back to be flat is what we're looking for. So we'll probably jump between the diamond and the what would you call that? Dude holding his head. If you imagined a head right there. Okay. We just don't want this to be flat right in here. We want it to have some character to it. I'm going to scale this down some. Do the same thing over here. At this point, it's all about just moving stuff around to where you like it. You might think, well, there's got to be some kind of mathematical formula that'll put the vertices exactly where they should be, but that is not the case. You've got to grab those vertices and just move them around the way you want, especially on clothing. Maybe on a, on some kind of hard surface building like a house or something like that, you can go completely off the numbers. But whenever you're dealing with clothing, you got to be willing to just experiment, try different shapes, see what you like, and then go from there. Have I been all the way around yet? I don't think I have. Yeah. And I seen all those comments everybody wrote in the Skidz Mentors group. I'd like to thank everybody that said that. And I also wanted to make the point that a lot of them said I could never do Blender like that. But that is not true. I used to think the same thing. It just takes some practice. And that's mostly why I'm actually doing this. I want to show people a lot of the tricks that I've learned that really you could never find a tutorial for some of these tricks. You know what I mean? It's just after a while you start to figure out how it works and how to take advantage of it. It's like a good video game. After you play it for a while, you figure out that you got to stand back right before he throws that sword so that you don't get killed. And it's the same way with Blender. You just gotta stand back and not get hit by that sword. No, what? Okay. That is looking good though. I am liking that. Now, another thing I want to do early on is I want to unwrap it. Now, we'll probably end up unwrapping it again and again and again over the course of this entire thing. But skirt, I have like a naming convention, skirt 01AO, that I go with. The first texture I always make is the ambient occlusion texture, and I always use 1024 by 1024. If I want to resize it before uploading it, I will do that. And I do like to use the UV grid at first. So I'm going to hit OK. So I got skirt 01AO as a texture. And I'm going to select everything on this, and you can see how messed up those spaces are already. And then go select skirt 01AO. And we're going to want to unwrap this. The first thing you got to do when you want to unwrap something is you got to start marking seams on it. And a lot of people like to skip this step, thinking, oh, let's just do a smart UV projection. Look at that. I got it unwrapped already. It's already done. I'm finished. I don't got to worry about a thing. But that is not what you should do. For one, your fabric won't flow. Two, it's broken up in places that you don't want it to be broken up in. Like if I wanted to draw a line across this now, I could not draw that line across it because a lot of these, you can see there's a, oh, and look, some of these are overlapping too. So, I mean, definitely cannot do that. So we want to start marking seams. To do that, I'm just going to go into Edge Select Tool. I did a Shift Alt to select that bottom seam. And I'm going to turn off the solidify so we can't see things that don't really exist. And I'm going to turn off the normals and click Mark Seam. And you can see it gives it that red line. So basically, that is a seam. Now let's do the same thing in the back. I'm going to do Control Alt, select that, and I'm going to go right down the center, right there. And I'm going to mark seam again. And now, let's unwrap it. You see how it unwrapped? It's one big continuous skirt now, but again, we probably don't want that. You can see that it unwraps so much better too. There's no overlapping right in here like there was when we did the Smart UV project. So definitely use the mark seams. And basically it kind of tells the texture where it's okay to split it, and then by using just normal unwrap, it actually does a really good job if you split it up. But let's say for some reason, let me show you this real quick. So I cleared that mark seam, and now if I unwrap it, you'll see that it's still one big piece, and we could leave it like that. But let's say I wanted to split it and I didn't know where exactly in this mess over here it needed to be split. You can come over here in this button right here. It says keep UV edit mode, mesh select and sync. So now if I deselect everything, you can still see the UV over here, and I can select the line that I see that I need to mark as a seam. So, and you can see it gets selected over here at the same time, and allows me to mark it and then unwrap it again, if that makes sense. And see, and I think what we want to do too is we want to separate this line that goes all the way around on the inside. So the belt area kinda is going to be separate. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as a seam as well. Unwrap. Now it's getting a little more messy, but that's okay. And we could even straighten this all out if we wanted to. Do it by hand, but wow, that's a lot of work. Maybe I won't worry about it. Maybe I'll just clear all the seams, unwrap it, and just leave it like a circle. I don't know, but for right now, we don't really need to worry about it too much. We're just wanting something because I want to apply an ambient occlusion to it so that we can see how it looks shaded wise. So I'm going to come over here to the Bake tab, choose ambient occlusion. I need to set up some settings on my world real fast. These are settings that I've experimented with over time, and they're the ones I really like. So I check ambient occlusion. I give it a 0.85 and I change it to multiply instead of add. I worked on a spaceship for a long time and I really experimented over and over what is the best factor in multiplication, and the distance too. I changed that to 4 under gather. Change the sampling up to 40, which is quite a bit, so it's going to slow down your computer quite a bit. So another thing I like to do is I like to find my blend and actually set the priority to below normal. I got 2 of them open, so below normal. And this helps so your computer is not going crazy whenever it's, I mean, because it can lock up everything. If you leave that where it is, just your computer becomes useless while it's building the ambient occlusions or drawing up textures. And especially when I'm streaming, I cannot have that. So we got the environment set up the way we want it. Distance of 4, sampling of 40, 0.85 multiplier. I'm going to come back over here, choose bake, and it is going to start. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot. I'm probably going real slow. I'm trying to cancel it. Okay, there, I got it canceled. So if I lock up and stuff while I'm streaming, I apologize. I'll just basically I won't say too much while it's rendering the textures, just in case it stops me from broadcasting the video. So one thing I like to do though is choose normalize, because normalize makes it a black and white, and basically normalizes the levels of the black and the whiteness. So let's do that again. Okay, we just finished up doing that, so I'm going to save it right away. Save as, and I'm calling this outfit Smexy. So save it inside the Smexy folder, and let's take a look at it, what it looks like whenever we actually have that applied. So what I do is I go over to shading and texture solid. Look at that. That looks absolutely fantastic, actually. And we could probably import it as is right now and probably sell it and make some money. But we're going to do a lot more to it. A lot more to it. we're going to make a texture using cycles here in the next episode probably, or the episode after that, or the episode after that, because there's a couple other pieces we still need to make as well for the outfit we're doing. So I'm going to move all this stuff over to this layer as well. And I'm going to turn off texture shading. And you can see where we're going so far. What do you guys think? We definitely need to fix that ass right there, huh? But besides that, it's pretty good. I'm not going to worry too much about, well, let's just do it. Let's just fix it. I'm going to hit Control R. Not there, I'm not. Control R to add in some, basically I cut a line right in there, and now I have it selected. I was hoping normal would give me a better direction to pull, but it's not. And I just start pulling it out. Not a big deal. Oops, Control R, and I can't get it to cut right in there, it looks like. Control R. No. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to undo what I just did. Control R removed. Okay, and I'm going to go into edge select mode. I'm going to hit C. I'm going to just go through here and select all these edges. A little more. Oops. That's where we'll stop, right in there. Now I'm going to hit Control E and choose subdivide, and there, that's much better. Actually, we might want to, maybe we want to do that all the way around, because we'll probably want to add some detail to the center everywhere. So let's go ahead and just select all the edges. We don't want to select these bottom edges though. So just the lines that go up and down. Control E, subdivide, and now I'm going to actually do more than one. I'm going to do 3. So now we got 3 different lines we can work with in the center. I'm going to go back to vertices selection. I'm going to choose enable proportional editing, which basically allows me to like grab one and other things follow. So I'm going to go G, Z, Z. Now ZZ does it in the direction of the normal. You can see what I'm getting at. Actually, I'm going to grab that over there, and that over there. Let's just grab some more of these. You don't want to grab everything though. GZZ. GZZ. I just move it back and forth till I got it to where I want it. And again, we're just doing some really rough moves right here, just to get our shape the way we want it, or the skirt the way we want it. She's got a big butt. Actually, the butts are really small. These. It's just the way we pulled it down, because we started with up there and we just basically did an extrude in the Z direction and then scaled that up. It didn't take into the account the shape of the butt. Let's go ahead and move the shirt for now, because we're going to have to make the shirt work with this in the future, but I'm not going to worry about it this very instant. I'm just wanting to basically shape up the skirt a little bit to fit the butt better. Let's go back into texture shading. A little bit to fix right there. See how we got some overlay right in there? It's basically the solidify we're seeing poke through. So if I turned off, oh, actually I don't have solidify turned on, so maybe I'm completely wrong. What are we looking at then? I think it's mostly because of the way we evenly distributed the vertices on that outside row. It's caused some problems with some of the faces right in there. Usually that black is a bad thing, especially when it's flat and not overlaying on top of one another. Here along these triangles here, that's fine because we know that it's overlaying, you know, so we got two layers on top of one another. But here, there's not really two layers. It should just be one layer. So one thing we might consider doing, it seems drastic, but it's not that bad, is deleting the faces and then remaking them. But just where it's needed. You don't got to do it everywhere. So let's just go along this edge and find places where this is happening. You might say, well, it looked good enough to me. Well, when we go to make textures, it's going to start to cause problems, so we might as well fix them now. And what I do now is I'm going to just go along, selecting vertices and hitting F to fill. Awesome. Let's do the same thing over here. Excellent. That is looking great. Let's turn back on the solidify, see how it's looking. Awesome. Another modifier I usually like to add, but I'm not sure we will add it to this, is subdivide surface. And that just makes everything smoother, as you can see. But might just not be something we need to do. I'm gonna turn off this. Why is that black right in there? Is it on the texture? I bet you. Yeah, it's on the texture. So, whatever is the texture, it was causing problems with the texture. The texture was causing that problem. So we could do this subsurface, but I don't think it's actually necessary. It doubles the number of vertices, so it does make it heavier. You'll see what I mean if I turn on wire here. See how many lines are going through there, but look how many lines there really are. So there's that one vertice here, but that vertice doesn't exist here, and look at all these vertices. So you really don't need that. So I'm going to turn that back off. Just delete it. And this is looking good. So guys, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up today. We got a basic skirt made. It's not rigged or anything, so we'll get into rigging after we do the textures and everything else. Rigging is like the absolute last thing I do. So yeah, we got a little bit more of the outfit to make. I don't know. I'm thinking I might make socks, because I kind of liked. I was looking at. Did I still have that up? No, I don't have that picture up. But I was looking at this one picture of a skirt, and she had these socks that were really cute that had bows at the top of them that kind of matched the plaidness of the skirt. So I might do something like that as well. I don't know. I'll think about it. You guys let me know what you guys think as well. Have any questions, suggestions, comments? If you just really enjoy it, I'd love to hear from you. And thanks again, everybody that did watch. I really appreciate it. And until next time, happy building.